ابتغاء وجه الله وما تنفقوا من خير يوفى إليكم وأنتم لا تظلمون. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is talking to his Prophet alayhi salatu wasalam, saying, لَيْسَ عَلَيْكَ هُدَاهُمْ. It is not your responsibility that they will be guided. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the one who has the guidance, and he is the one who bestows guidance on people. Don't treat people according to their religion. You know, it is the verse was they mentioned that one of the occasion of revelation is that the Prophet alayhi salatu wasalam used to tell his companions not to give charity to non-Muslims. Then that verse came. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, لَيْسَ عَلَيْكَ هُدَاهُمْ. This is not your responsibility. So the Prophet alayhi salatu wasalam started himself giving charity to non-Muslims and advised his companions to give charity to non-Muslims. So these two verses gives you a little bit of how Islam looks at other faith. Of course, we have levels. You have the Ahl al-Kitab and you have the non-religious people and so on. But essentially, human beings are entitled to fair and kind treatment. To show how the Prophet ﷺ applied these principles in his life, I will only mention two examples. There are many examples, but these are only two examples which are really can give us a clear idea on how the Prophet ﷺ applied these principles. The first example is what we call Dastur al-Madina or Wathiqat al-Madina, the Constitution of Medina or the Document of Medina, and this is the treaty that the Prophet ﷺ signed off with the people who were living in Medina when he migrated from Mecca to Medina. And it is a very long document. It specifies the rules of engagement, the rules of how people are being treated, but there is a very important concept in that wathiqa, without going through the whole article, the whole number of articles, is that the people who sign off on this document are all citizens of the Islamic State of Medina. They are equal in their rights and they are equal in their responsibility. He calls them ummah. So they are, it is not, and mainly the people who were there at that time, there were the Muslims, there were the Jews, and there were the idolaters. But everyone who signs off on that document is a resident of Medina with equal responsibility and equal rights. And acknowledging that the Prophet ﷺ is the supreme leader of Medina. So when they need to do something, they have to take his permission. This is an agreement that's not duplicated anywhere in history, even in our present history. Citizenship here is limited in this at this time. Citizenship is limited. Even when a Muslim goes from one Muslim country to another, he is not considered a citizen. He is considered a foreigner. The Prophet ﷺ applied citizenship to everyone who agrees to abide by the articles of this document. The second example of the Prophet ﷺ that the Prophet ﷺ gave us is later on, maybe 8 or 9 years later, when people started to come to visit Medina and talk to the Prophet ﷺ, and a group of Christians from the town or area or tribe of Najran came to talk to the Prophet ﷺ. And the Prophet ﷺ talked to them he told them about Islam, and he invited them to follow Islam. And when the time for their prayer came, he allowed them to pray at the mosque. They actually prayed their prayer in the mosque. But they did not accept Islam. However, the Prophet ﷺ had a treaty with them. The Muslims would protect these people, protect their lives, protect their positions, and protect their religious institutions in return for certain taxes that they will pay to the Islamic State. This is when they refused to become Muslims, the Prophet ﷺ didn't wage war on them, but he accepted their freedom of religion. Not only that, but he offered them protection if they abide by the conditions of the treaty. This shows clearly how the Prophet ﷺ applied the commandments of the Quran in his life. And there are other examples, but I think I'm going to stop here. And Jazakallah khair for inviting me to talk to you on this great opportunity. Assalamu alaikum.
Thank you so much, Brother Mahmoud Hadara. It was such a fascinating to hear the just two examples where you have shown that Hazrat Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, when he was even an immigrant, and he started to involve and include all the people, all the religion there. And you know, the story about Christian come into Medina and having them, let them pray in the mosque, and while the Muslims are, you know, securing their belonging, is such a heartfelt thing that we still hold that true. क्या शान है प्यारे नबी की, क्या शान है प्यारे नबी की, जिन्होंने हमें हर चीज़ सिखा दी, हर चीज़ सिखा दी. Thank you so much, brother. Thank you so much. और अब मैं दावत ख़ास दूंगा ब्रदर नदीम सुहेल साहब को. वो हमें ये लिखते हैं, बहुत अच्छा लिखते हैं, और आज हम इनसे गुजारिश करेंगे कि हमें हमेशा कुछ शेयर करें, हमें इनायत कीजिएगा. ब्रदर नदीम सुहेल साहब.